All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Salty Saturday. This is Viriday, and joined with me is Hertz Donut and Cassidy. What's up, guys?
Yo,
How's it going, guys?
We got a pretty awesome stream for you guys tonight. We're going to kick it off with two of the master powerhouses of THL, both 500 PRs on the line. We got Catota going up against YuruYuri. Are you guys excited for some priest action?
I'm totally pumped. They're both undefeated thus far in the season, right?
Undefeated 500 PRs, both bringing priests. It doesn't get much better than this.
And we got started late because both of them had to throw their decks together.
Because they're just too cool. So Catota coming from Team Synergy, of course. He's bringing Paladin, Priest, Rogue, Warlock, and YuruYuri coming from Pure Strategy, bringing Druid, Mage, Priest, Warrior. Cassidy, right off the bat, who do you think has the edge here?
I like YuruYuri just because of the Druid bring. I think it's going to be strong against Katota's lineup, like Priest and Rogue and Warlock. But he could always ban that out, so
Right.
I don't know. And especially at this level, players are just so they have so many interesting little niches they throw into their decks that we're not ready for. So I don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah, and Catota, we saw him bring Aggro Rogue 2 weeks ago, and he absolutely wrecked.
That was incredible.
Who was he play? Who was that? He was playing someone new, I believe. Was it Salt? It was NACL, I think.
Believe so.
I could be wrong.
Yeah, it was when he brought the aggro Rogue.
Yeah, it was NACL. He brought, and then so I played him the next week in Turf Wars, and he brought Mill Rogue. So he's just got a huge spectrum of classes there, and that's hard to prepare for. Anyway, we are going to jump into the ban phase here right now and see what they're going to bring. It looks like, as Cassidy mentioned, Catota will ban the Druid, and Yuri's going to ban the almighty and consistent Paladin. Pretty expected bans. We see a lot of Druid and Paladin bans around the league. Druid is a class that, if it draws correctly, is one of the most unstoppable, if not the most unstoppable classes in Hearthstone. And Paladin, of course, just super consistent. What do you guys think of those bans?
I like both of them.
Yeah, I think they're both going for the most consistent class that either of them are bringing. So really interesting that both of them only have one of those.
Right. So YuruYuri's going to be left with Mage, Priest, and Warrior, and Katota's going to be left with Priest, Rogue, and Warlock. Pretty interesting in how these are matched up. I think we probably will expect a Freeze Mage from Yuri. Usually at the higher levels we see Freeze Mage. Do you guys know if he plays something else?
I don't know, but I would certainly assume freeze.
He didn't bring Mage when I played him, so I don't know.
Not sure. I think the Warrior is going to present a lot of trouble for Catota.
Yeah.
Rogue is really well known for struggling against Warrior. It's pretty much its rival class. If it's an Oil Rogue, it just doesn't have enough burst. If it's a Mill Rogue, it'll mill the Warrior, but the Warrior will have so much more health that it won't matter. And then an Aggro Rogue might be able to get the job done, but still would struggle.
What about that tempo-based Raptor list? How does that do? I would think that there's enough mid-game.
I think
Warrior could struggle against it.
Your best out if you, as with a lot of other games versus a Warrior, it's important that they don't get their weapons out on time.
Yeah,
but I think a Shredder into a Raptor, copying the Shredder's
eggs and all that garbage Warrior doesn't want to deal with.
Yeah, your board clears become useless.
We have an Anduin sighting in game 1.
We do have an Anduin sighting. It will be a Freeze Mage, it looks like. Although, I guess those are all... It looks like it is a Freeze Mage. And, of course, Catota bringing his favorite Control Priest. We saw Catota take down Imbolc in the All-Star Series with this exact same matchup. It is indeed a Freeze Mage as we see the Alex enter the hand. I just went from 6 to midnight. This is just the greatest matchup of all time. Freeze Mage against Control Priest. This is a really interesting matchup because prior to prior to what was it?
TGT.
TGC, the Grand Tournament, rather. What is that?
TGT.
TGT. Prior to that coming out, the Control Priest and Priest in general was extremely unfavored. And it was so unfavored that a lot of Freeze Mage players have kind of just taken it for granted. However, Justicar has greatly changed this matchup. So this will be a really interesting game. I think the Freeze Mage is still favored if he can get an Antonidas. It requires a really good ET into Antonidas turn. So both of those have to get extreme value. And also the way that the mages build. A Pyroblast greatly increases the mage's chances. Also the new Flame Torch also increases the mage's chances. Yeah, so we're gonna see
Entomb.
We're gonna see.
I'm curious to see
the
I'm curious to see the impact that's gonna have here.
Entomb, as a huge enthusiast of both these builds, Entomb is really interesting in this matchup particularly. You can take an ET, which actually can help the priest quite significantly. Another really remarkable Entomb target is actually Alexstrasza, which will allow you to kind of heal yourself if you're in a situation. It's a little weird, but
it's a little weird because usually you're so on the clock at that point by the time the Alex comes down.
Right. These games generally a Control Priest, and we've seen Catota maneuver this perfectly. Generally, the Control Priest is just going to save all of its healing after Alexstrasza. So when Alexstrasza comes down, the Control Priest can do up to like 10 healing immediately.
Provided, or are we assuming that Justicar Trueheart is already down?
Has been played, yeah.
No. You can do like double Naru into Hero Power into Holy Nova, which I guess is 8. Or wait, that's 8, 10. So it can, 10 healing. And that's all within the health. And that's like a pretty typical play right after Alexstrasza. So you can go from 15 to 10 or 25 in one turn, and then the next turn you Hero Power, Justicar, Hero Power for another additional 6. Justicar in the hand already for Catota. Catota obviously knows what he's up against here. He probably was suspecting it. Freeze Mage being a great favorite of a lot of the top level players. Actually, a lot of the players in the league, as we see. We're probably going to see it from Jacksox as well tonight. Looking at these hands, we'll just analyze these really quick. Sylvanas is a huge threat to the Priest itself. Obviously, the Fireball Sylvanas play with a Doomsayer down is kind of a really well-known play. Personally, I don't really like playing Sylvanas ever until I've seen both Doomsayers, and it's just really risky. Because the way that the Priest is going to try to win this is not put pressure on, but just outlast all the mages burst, and it's very doable. Catota masterminded this strategy against Imbolc, as I said, in the All-Star series, and he pulled it off to perfection against Imbolc, and was able to take that win. So this should be really cool. Entomb can also find a target on Antonidas or ET if you have no removal for them. You want to make sure you always have like at least 2 removal for those 2 targets, because if they stay up more than 1 turn, you've ostensibly lost the game.
Right.
Catota, I'd be very surprised if he does play the Justicar here. I think he's probably going to save it, as we saw him do in the All-Star game. But he is a masterful Control Priest. Catota, and this is embarrassing to say, Catota beat my handlock with Control Priest last week. He did have some pretty sick Ysera pulls, but regardless, he's something else when it comes to Control Priest and really knows this class inside and out. All right, so
taking a very slow approach here, which I think a lot of players wouldn't. I think a lot of people would feel pressure to just do something that turn and play an Akanai and just ping face.
Absolutely. I think one of the hardest things when you get into Hearthstone is kind of like, you can tell experienced Hearthstone players versus kind of newer Hearthstone players, because newer Hearthstone players will feel compelled to do things.
Mm-hmm. Right. Like you feel like you're missing out if you don't always use your mana.
Right. Yuri playing Cone of Cold. This is somewhat of a flavor kind of card. Clearly,
is that a sign that he's playing Reno?
No, not at all. Actually,
I know a lot of lists have been cutting one Blizzard for Cone. Is one of their ways to get Reno in.
That's absolutely correct. Yeah, a lot of the arena lists are doing that. The biggest differences between the arena lists are the draw. They're really like grabbing novice engineers, and
Mhm.
I've even seen a gnomish inventor in a freeze mage. Um, so yeah, they're a little bit different. But that does not. Tice is really outspoken. He's an amazing freeze mager, obviously. He's very outspoken about Cone of Cold, and I think it's extremely good in this meta. Um, Secret Paladins are so hardy these days, and a lot of the death rattle.
But in this case, in particular, he doesn't have to worry about that.
No, he's just tossing it out to keep building his hand.
Yeah,
With-
No,
with
he doesn't have to worry
Emperor-
about it. Because he banned the paladin. So with a priest, rogue, and warlock,
well, Warlock
Would be good against
Warlock's
Zoo,
yeah. Warlock, Cone of Cold's really strong against. It's very good against Zoo, as Cassidy said. It's also extremely good against Handlock, where you want anything to hold off giant hits. Yuri taking this slow, obviously not going to go for the Alexstrasza. This is just very experienced play and respecting the priest's ability to rebound. As we see in Kotota's hand, no Light of the Narus, no even Holy Novas. So he only has the Justicar heal. And that's pretty problematic. Looking at this Doomsayer, at this immediate turn, what do you guys... I mean, I think Tomb is really his only play here.
I agree. I think maybe he could power word shield, see what he gets. But
Do you want this board to live that badly that you need to deal with the Doomsayer, or can you just let it die?
You definitely could let it die. And
That's
the fact
kind of
that
where I would be.
I don't know his build. A lot of priest build.
He's gonna
go
entomb it.
and that's fine. I mean, it's a 4-3. Or sorry, a 3-3 and a 4-5. So it isn't Flame Strike retardant. And if I was Yuri, I'd probably just Flame Strike this off of ping.
Yep.
You don't usually get a good Flame Strike board against... Or I guess he could even play the Blood Mage, but that's risking Cabal.
Yuri's just sitting here. He has the ET, he has the Alex. He's waiting for like Frostbolt and Ice Lances to come into his hand. He hasn't seen any yet. He has one Frostbolt.
So
he's got
Yuri's...
plenty of board control.
If he can find his Ice Lances and his Frostbolt, his other Frostbolt, like, he's gonna have a disgusting Antonitis play lined up later on.
And as you said, like, this is exactly how you want to play a Freeze Mage. Like, against a Priest, you want to hold for a huge ET turn.
There's Antonitis.
And there's Antonitis, so he can now ET, and it looks like he will.
Do you think Catota's going to try... do you think he's going to mind control the ET, or do you think he's going to hold off?
I think he'll just death it. I think he'd rather mind control Antonitis or Alexstrasza later on.
I would not be surprised if he actually mind controls this.
Because I feel like mind control, you're not actually going to get any immediate benefit out of if you use it on the Antonitis.
Mind control, right? Mind control. If
but if you
played
take
too
the
late,
ET, then that turn you're guaranteed that everything else just became cheaper.
Oh, that's a pretty big pickup, actually. It's a really big pickup. He might just Evulge in it. Mind control. The nice thing about mind controlling this ET is he's not feeling any pressure, so he can take the whole turn to take it.
Yeah.
Whereas if he took, like, Alexstrasza, you cannot afford to mind control an Alexstrasza.
Right, you have
clearly.
to use your turn.
And a lot of times, Antonitis will be dropped after an Alexstrasza because you're going to be using Burn. So we're going to probably see Yuri, Alexstrasza ping here, and then set up an Antonitis turn. And this is, I mean, Yuri's playing this perfectly. These two players are extremely proficient with these decks. I definitely think it's going to be an Alexstrasza into an Antonitis. Huge production of Fireball turn. Yuri's not really near to getting bursted. And what's unfortunate is Catota only has the 6 healing. He doesn't have any Light of the Narus. I'm not really sure if his build even plays Light of the Narus. But the
Now, he
problem
went
is,
with the Frost Nova to make sure that Alex can't just be traded into, which I like a lot.
Exactly. So he's actually trying to set up for a lethal, I think.
Yeah.
Does he have a Ice Lance? No, he doesn't.
No,
He has
I think
actually very little
he's
burn.
forcing the death because the death will not allow him to double Justicar this turn. So Catota can Shadow or Death and then only heal for 4 as opposed to the full 6.
Right.
Yeah, we'll probably see like an Emerald Drake come out, but that's a great point. It's exactly how you want to play it. And the other thing is, Yuri may have gotten the read that Catota didn't even have a death to deal with the ET, and that's perhaps why he went for the freeze. while I think you like make a really good point, I think Yuri's probably his thinking is more along those lines because the freeze with Antonitis is just really unstoppable. Like, it's just so good. And as we see from Katota's hand, if there was a freeze with an Antonitis at this point in the game, Catota would have no answer and he would basically automatically lose. So Katota's going to go up to 19 to try to get out of immediate OTK range. And we can see that Yuri doesn't have the sort of one turn post Alex kill. It looks like he'll just make a couple frost bolts with the Archmage. I think this is probably best accomplished. He really doesn't have any Ice Lances and just one Frostbolt. It's kind of an ugly Antonitis, to be completely honest. But he's just going to go for it. This'll do 9 damage, and then he'll also have 14 with the Blood Mage next turn. So he's pretty much at exact lethal. Catota will have to...
Catota doesn't find any added healing, so...
Yeah.
That'll wrap this up.
Has nothing to respond to this. Nothing from Ysera can save him. And it would be kind of hard for Catota to even pop his block.
Well, he's got the Nightmare. 10, 20, he can totally pop the block with the Nightmare that Melon's chosen. Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, a little false hope. We also see the Ice block in Yuri's hand. So, really, really well played by both players. I think Catota drew really poorly. Not even having a Holy Nova, and we know he plays Holy Nova, is just really rough. I don't know if he plays the Narus, and if he doesn't, then maybe this is just about as good a hand as he could have expected.
Yeah, without the Narus, this is really not... This is basically pre-TGT unfavored, I would still say.
And to all the people out there, I'd
Justicar's
like to say, we see Novice Engineer come into Yuri's hand. I would be willing to bet a lot of money he has Reno Jackson in this deck.
Yeah.
I agree.
Looks like it was a Reno deck. That's kind of odd considering Catota brought kind of slower decks like Priest, Rogue, and I guess it's good against Rogue. But I think the Reno Jackson decks are really good against obviously sort of the more aggressive decks. Well, regardless, Yuru is going to take game 1. Catota is going to drop it. Catota played it I think both players played it perfectly. It looks like Catota either just didn't have the healing in hand that he needed, or he just doesn't run it. In either case, Yuri is able to see that Catota isn't bringing Dragon Priest, and that's pretty good information. And now that this mage is out of the way, Katota's going to have a really difficult time getting a win with the Priest. He's going to have to win the Priest mirror because it's almost impossible for a Priest to breed a Warrior. And that the Warrior just will armor up, and we're about to see this matchup. This is a matchup there. I was actually the Warrior on this side of this matchup, and Catota played it perfectly against me. And you still, you just go into fatigue, and it's like any matchup that goes into fatigue against a Warrior. They just have too much armor for the Priest to handle, and Catota might drop a really quick 0-2 right here. I think he was really looking for that Priest matchup.
Priest mirror.
The question is, I think Catota... I'm surprised he didn't bring Warlock. Because I assume Katota's bringing Handlock. And Handlock would just... It's favored against Warrior. It's favored against Priests.
Now that's interesting. He kept both executes in the opening hand. Or did those come off the mulligan?
I believe he actually did keep those.
That's what it looked like.
Yeah, definitely pretty interesting. The Acolyte comes out. If I'm both these players, and I think they're both definitely good enough to be at this point in the game, I am really thinking about fatigue right here, like already. And Yuri definitely doesn't value a lot of draws off of his Acolyte. And
he also knows there's no clean way for Catota to deal with it in the early game.
Yeah, exactly.
Catota is not able to play his Northshire Cleric, and we're getting into those very fun Ultra Control Hero Power Pass turns.
Love it.
Definitely favor Garrosh.
Exactly. Garrosh is the most favored in this type. So he finally finds an Auchenai.
Is someone injured?
And he has to play this. So he's going to give Yuri the draw. Yuri's at 2. 2, 4. Oh, wow. Really good top deck for Yuri. The Cruel Taskmaster.
Interesting. Oh, well, so he's definitely worried about fatigue if he doesn't go for the Taskmaster on the Acolyte here.
Yeah, I think both of them are really considering fatigue. But Yuri probably doesn't care if he's even like 3 or 4 cards ahead in fatigue because Justicar just came down on 6. And that is something Priest just cannot deal with.
This seems interesting to me. I would think you'd want to Auchenai Hero Power. Oh, so he's trying to drive the...
Yeah, well, this is Catota's only chance, is to really drive. I mean, this is so cool.
Yeah, this is
They're
how
at turn
Priest wins
6.
the matchup.
Right, and you're already trying to figure out how to beat him in fatigue. The problem here is Catota is got kind of an awkward turn with regard to how to remove this 6/3. He can't. Yeah, I'm actually really curious as to how he's going to do this. He looks like he wants 7 mana, but I'm not sure why.
He could just death it.
No, you'd never death a 6/3.
No, not against a warrior. You can't afford to.
I'm just. That's the only like immediate out, aside from an Auchenai Circle.
It's gonna coin.
Okay.
So he's gonna keep the Acolyte alive so that he can make Yuru draw even more. And I think he may have just overdrawn him.
Greetings.
I think so.
Oh, and he burned Ysera. Wow, that was a great play.
Well, he also overdrew himself here.
He did,
but I think he values his cards, especially knowing what's already in his hand, less than he values bringing the warrior closer to fatigue.
That was a pretty sick play. I think that, I mean, this is kind of how you have to play it. Healing the Acolyte's really cool. Unfortunately, the Acolyte will be able to kill itself off this turn, and Catota is going to have to pay the piper this upcoming draw and see what he burns. Really, really neat play. He also lost the... It looks like he's probably going to have to go for... Wow.
Thoughtsteal was not a good card to lose.
Yeah, that's really rough for Catota. Definitely not one he wants to lose there. A lot of high-value minions. So yeah, we'll see.
Got a really good Alchemy Circle lined up here. This will be a full clear.
Almost. Oh yeah.
No, he'll heal power the 1/2.
Yep.
And I can't. I have Yuri on the top of my screen, so I can't count his cards really quickly. Yep. Okay.
Yep, he got him again.
So Catota able to get rid of 2 on the mill. The Ysera is an enormous loss. With Entomb, Mind Control, Sylvanas, he can take a lot of Katota's threats, or rather Yuri's threats. But will it matter? And I don't know. The Control Wearer still has 2 executes and a ton of weapons to remove those threats. And at the end of the day, if he's way ahead in armor, it really just won't matter. All right, so Baron, I like Baron getting a lot from Yuri's standpoint. Catota won't have a great way to deal with it.
What?
I'm surprised Yuri's going to even play an Acolyte.
Yeah, I am too, after getting punished so hard on the first one.
And if you just, he'd obviously have to dump some more of his hand to really get the Acolyte out. I don't know why you'd play it in general. Right now their cards, Katota's at 17 cards. He is, of course, 1 turn behind Yuri. And Yuri's at 15 cards. So the card count is right now, I think it's like 1 difference. 15 to 16, yeah. So Yuri's going to just access. I'm shocked that this Acolyte came out, to be completely honest. But Catota has...
There's not any way to actually, activate it.
It denies any way that Sylvanas can have a huge impact, because if Catota decides to play Sylvanas, he can guarantee that Catota actually ends up with the Acolyte. I've seen Warrior players do that on stream a few times. It's just kind of a way to like deter that big threat from coming down for a little bit.
Yeah,
that's
it's
super heads up.
Catota is going to be able to light bomb this pretty nice.
So now there's no Sylvanas on board to steal his Alexstrasza. I think that was the line of play there. So now Katota's at 14 life, and Yuru has a super threatening board. And like Sylvanas' death on 9 to steal the Alexstrasza no longer is a guarantee.
Actually, Catota can go up to 14, but he is dead. Because
there's
Grom
that
and Cruel
Grom.
Taskmaster is in the hand, and that's 15 burst. Catota can go up to 16, but I guess he could kill. I don't know. I don't know how. Actually, he can't kill.
Well, there's also he's also got the weapon. So that's
right. That's 15 damage.
okay, 15, 16 if we include the Acolyte.
Right, and that's actually really funny. So as I was kind of criticizing Yuri for playing the Acolyte, he set up like a perfect lethal, where basically the Acolyte is what's going to kill Catota here, because Catota has no way of removing it. So Catota can kill this in hero power, but the Acolyte is going to give Yuri exact lethal, and this is kind of what it takes to be a perfect 500 undefeated player in the league. Kind of that kind of play, definitely above my level. Amazing math, and that's like a 3-turn lethal Yuri set up, which is incredible foresight. And you know, a lot of people are thinking about the fatigue game, certainly I was, whereas Yuri's just planning on ending this really, really quick. Amazing game.
I think that makes sense. I think as soon as you get a Grom and a Cruel Task in your hand, you immediately start looking for ways to close things out.
Right. So let's talk about this last game. So I know that Katota's down 0-2, but I do want to say that Katota's lineup is superbly set up to go after Priest. Granted, he has his own Priest, but that I mean, Rogue is definitely the natural predator of Priests and Paladin. And Warlock, I mean, Handlock's very favored as well. So if Catota can pull out the Priest win, he maybe will set up a reverse sweep. And it looks like he will.
Yeah, I think we're going to see the Priest Mirror dead last if we see it at all.
Right, and right off the bat, we see Shadow Step. So this looks like this might be...
But we see Yuri's playing Dragons and not like a Control Priest build.
Yeah,
so
and that's kind of
I think the Rogue might struggle to deal with these larger boards throughout the entire game. And it's a Mill Rogue,
it's
not just any Rogue.
Yeah, the Dragon Priest I think is going to be a surprise to Catota. Because I would not bring Dragon Priest into the Control Priest mirror. But I guess Yuri's going to go after it, and Catota is going to have a field day with this hand.
Yuri played Dragon Priest back when I played him. I would assume he's been playing it most of, if not all season. I think it's just a deck he's very comfortable with overall.
Now, Bran is a really interesting addition, I think, to the Mill Rogue repertoire.
Yeah,
just because of the sheer number of cards that you can get a Cold Light to draw.
Bran is extremely... has increased this deck's viability substantially. Hitting the Cleric here should give Yuri an indication of what he's playing against, but perhaps he doesn't care.
There have been those who, in the past, who have made that mistake.
Yep.
But he doesn't.
Yeah, so and it looks like he'll probably hit the 1/4 and keep both of these. Oh no, he's gonna kill it off.
No,
okay.
so he's trying to. He doesn't want to make it too obvious.
He won't have enough cards to deal with a bunch of threats yet, so he's got to mitigate the draw that Yuri's getting.
Now, I don't know this matchup very well, even though I love both these classes. I would assume.
You mean they don't get practice as a Mill Rogue on ladder all the time against the Dragon Priest?
Well, I would assume that the Mill Rogue is really actually not favored here.
No.
Because Dragon Priest doesn't it has enormous threats that only your vanishes are going to clear, and 2 vanishes won't be enough to kind of hold off the wrath of Dragon.
No, and the Priest isn't going to put a bunch of things on the board to be vanished. He's just going to play like 2 to 3 mid-sized threats throughout the game that the Rogue has to deal with.
Yeah, and the other thing is
they're all really high value, so they're not.
Oh, this Cabal!
It's not that big a deal.
Get ready for it. Again. Cabal Shadow Priest on the 2/8.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, right there.
Yep.
Disgusting.
And the other issue is and this is an issue that all rogues have against Dragon Priest, is the Dragon Priest minions have so much health that Blade Flurries don't generally really do much. to a board of dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially when you don't play oil in your... Obviously, Mill won't play oil. This is going to be extremely difficult for Catota. And honestly, I think Catota just did not expect this to be Dragon Priest. That being said, it looks like he probably... Does he have a prep? He does have a prep. So he could prep Vanish here. 2, 4, 6 plus 4. So he'll burn 1 card, and then he'll be able to get the Cold Light Train going. It looks like he's going to get the Cold Light Train going now.
I wonder what the reason was for playing the coin first.
He didn't want to mill
To
himself.
not overdraw himself.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's going to play the Murloc, and he's going to prep. He's going to have to prep gang up. He needs to stick with this plan. Okay, and he's making sure he doesn't overdraw himself. So he's going to play this and gang up. You got to make sure you do not lose those Cold Light, that reservoir, and it looks like he will get a Worm Wrist Angel. Not super high quality. And Yuri, I think Yuri's just going to really push damage here. Katota's going to go for the Vanish, and this will destroy...
Go for the Vanish, yeah.
Yeah. He's going to have to go to the Vanish, but the thing is, he's already at 12 health. He does have Brawn, but he's going to need, like... And he used a prep, so he really is just going to have to straight up Vanish, which is pretty bad. Really, really rough on the mana. Yuri trying to dump his hand, hoping not to get milled more, but it looks like... Actually, we will see this. Okay.
Yeah, the Deadly Poison Blade Flurry still doesn't get enough done.
Now, Yuri keeps the Cabal and the Twilight Guardian, so neither one of those larger bodies is dealt with efficiently yet.
And there's not another
They return to your hand in the order that they were played.
And he's going to steal... He could steal another 2/2 if he wanted to.
Dr. Boom could give Catota a foot in the door with the BGH. Yeah, Catota will be able to kill this off with the BGH, which is going to give him a little bit of breathing room and heal. Yeah, this is pretty nice. He got a turn off from a bunch of big dragons. But he's going to need another Vanish, and he's going to need to find these, the rest of these. It was really unfortunate that the Death Lord drew the other Cold Light, or one of the other Cold Lights. Those are obviously extremely vital. Just to give you guys a card update, Yuri is at 12 cards, Katota's at 13.
So not an awful lot of milling going on just yet.
Right. I mean, you go for the OTK basically with the Brawn.
I'd also like to point out that was a really heads-up play. Last turn, I think a lot of people with 2 charges on their weapon would go ahead and take a swing, but Catota, having vanished back the Twilight Drake already, knew that it was, or Twilight Guardian, held onto it specifically to be able to hit it and then Blade Flurry.
Right, and now we're getting to the point where Milrogue starts to break down. If it doesn't get... Oh, it got a Cold Light Oracle. That's exactly what I was saying, and I think Katota's ecstatic to see that, because the Milrogue actually needs other cards. So he's going to draw, right now, 4 cards. This is the Brawn play, and he gets another Cold Light. That's huge. He's looking for a Shadow Step desperately. A Shadow Step might...
He found a second Cold Light.
Vanish is not bad.
The Vanish. Prep Vanish is really good, actually, here. And he's going to be able to keep his Cold Light and his Brawn. And Yuri's at 7 cards left. Katota's at 8 cards left. Yuri has an enormous hand, but the question is... with 2 Vanishes out of the way, Yuri's going to be just able to dump his entire hand, and Katota's going to be staring down a huge board.
He's already used that Blade Flurry.
He's used 1 Blade Flurry. He should have another one. He should also have another Deadly Poison. So he should have some ways to deal with it, but 4 health minions are not a friend to Blade Flurry. It looks like he's going to take a turn off from milling and go back to clearing.
And Yuru is happy now, because he's been holding that Cabal since it went back to his hand. Because he knew he'd be able to steal the 2/8 again. And so he's probably going to take that line right here. I think we'll see
Wow.
the Steel and then the Twilight Guardian. Yep, there it comes.
Yeah.
He could have stolen a 2/2 multiple times in the game, but has been holding that Cabal this entire time. Because the Vanish obviously took the original Death Lord from YuruYuri and put it back in Katota's hand. So Yuru's been holding that Cabal since then for this.
And it's looking pretty bad for Catota. He does have the refreshment vendor.
He's also
But-
only one card, or only has Yuri one card ahead of him.
Right, he did get the gang up, so milling himself or going into fatigue himself isn't as much of a concern, but the fact is he's so low on health, he'll just die next turn to Yuri's board. So he has to use saps for sure here. I'd imagine he'd want to set up a gang up and a bunch of saps is my guess here.
So many.
This is a really difficult turn for Catota. This is an extremely high skill level deck to play correctly.
Right, I think it's pretty clear that this is probably your last turn unless you do everything perfectly and you're kind of lucky.
Yeah, and the fact that there's double Valence and a Holy Nova in Yuri's deck, and that's pretty unexpected. Like, that's a lot. That's
It's a lot of burst damage.
That's
Out
8
of the priest.
burst damage from Yuri's hand, and that's pretty hard to expect.
Drink with me, friend.
We see Catota is going to go for this. Does Yuri have lethal? He has 6 plus 8. He's 1 off. Oh, he couldn't play both Valence and Nova.
Is that including the
No.
boost off the Dragonkin?
No. Oh, that wasn't. So the Dragonkin, if he plays
He'll
Valence,
get 6 total off of the...
I don't think it's quite lethal.
No, it's not.
6 up to 9 plus 3, so he is 3 off.
Yeah, he's 3 off.
Holy Nova will clear really nicely. And the problem is Catota is just not high enough on health to be able to go into fatigue himself.
And he has absolutely no way to deal with a 6/10.
Yeah, so Brawn into Cold Light into Shadow Step. Cold Light is 3, 6, 7, and then another 3. He can draw a ton of cards, but he has to play this gang up or he'll kill himself. Honestly, I think he's just dead. Yeah.
He still might.
Well played. Who knows?
The math is so hard to do, but I think Katota's just dead here. He needs to.
Out of cards.
He got the Shadow Step. The problem is he has to play a gang up or he'll kill himself. And if he plays the gang up, he'll be out of mana.
Well, he'll have 2 left.
So he does this, and then he Shadow Steps it, but he's going to draw
But as
all
soon as he-
3.
yeah,
oh,
as
he's
soon
gonna
as he
kill.
does-
This is lethal. This is Sudoku. He's going to kill himself.
Yeah.
Yep. So, a valiant effort by Catota. Really fun deck, but unfortunately wasn't able to win. Oh, wait. If he plays a Deadly Poison, could he get a tie? Is there any way to tie it? And hit
I don't
face?
think so.
No, because he's going to
Or-
kill himself right now.
Right, but if he had hit face first, I wonder how much damage this does to... Oh, he was 3 damage off lethal.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's 3 damage off lethal.
Well, 1 if
Wow.
his Cold Light attacked.